Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Days Podcast along with a new video. I want to say thank you so much for the new subscribers, and thank you so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it. I will definitely be making sure there's more free content along with exclusives on Patreon and Spotify, and we will continue on doing more free content. And today I wanted to talk about music. We're going to continue talking about music. I wanted to talk about Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys' debut album, Songs in A Minor. So this particular album I was going to talk about, I gotta say a few months ago. I kind of took a step back because there were other topics that were kind of like blending in the midst of what I was going to say when it came to this album or just Alicia Keys. So I wanted to make sure that cohesively, when you look back at other episodes, it's like, okay, so this is when this pieced in and this is when this pieced in, and it's like, yes, like all this was going on. And I say this in my other videos where it's like there was all these different artists emerging, all these artists coming back, and debut albums still happening. So but yeah, let's get into it. So, Songs in A Minor is the debut studio album by American singer Alicia Keys, songwriter as well. Released on June 12, 2001 by J Records. So, in this peak moment, like I said in previous videos, in 2001, we already got Destiny's Child, we got Missy, we got Janet back, Timbaland and Genuine, and just so many people was coming back in 2001, as opposed to already being back in 2000. And a lot of singles were coming out at that time too. Aaliyah had just released her single as far as We Need a Resolution, as opposed to us not really realizing that her album was coming out in the midst of this, actually a month later. But let's continue. Keys began writing songs for the album in 1995 at age 14 and recording the album in 1998 for Columbia Records, but after they rejected it, she signed a recording contract with Clive Davis, Arista Records, and eventually J Records. An accomplished, classically trained pianist, Keys wrote, arranged, and produced the majority of the album herself. Okay. It is a neo soul album with elements of R&B, soul, jazz, hip hop, blues, classical, and gospel music. Lyrically, the songs explore the complexities and various stages of personal relationships. Despite the album's title, only one song, Jane Doe, is actually written in the key of A minor. Songs in A minor debuted at number 1 on the US 200, selling 236,000 copies in its first week. The album has since sold over 7 million copies in the United States and 12 million copies worldwide. It is also an immediate critical success and has since been regarded as a classic. The album earned Keys several accolades, including 5 Grammy Awards at the 44th Annual Grammy Awards. To promote the album, Keys embarked on her first headlining concert tour entitled Songs in A Minor Tour. In 2022, the album was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Recording Registry. So this was a big deal. This was a big deal as far as when it was recorded, as far as just when it was released. It was a big deal. And I'm not going to shy away from this because a lot of people may have overlooked this. But there were artists that would have had more shine or just as much shine in this time. But there was so much going on, and like I said, this is 2001. So Keys began writing the songs that would constitute songs in A minor at age 14, Butterflies being her first composition for the album. Keys had been accepted to Columbia University, which she attended after graduating from the Professional Performing Arts School at age 16. She dropped out after 4 weeks to pursue her music career full time. She signed a demo deal with Jermaine Dupri and his So So Def label. Keys co-wrote and recorded a song titled Da Dee Da Sexy Thing, which appeared on the soundtrack to the 1997 film Men in Black. She also contributed to the So So Def Christmas recordings. Keys began producing and recording the album in 1988. She completed it that same year, but it was rejected by Columbia Records. Keys explained that the producers she was required to work with by the label would tell her to just get in the booth and sing, which frustrated her. Her recording contract with Columbia ended after a dispute with the label. Keys then performed for Clive Davis, who sensed a special, unique artist. He bought Keys' contract from Columbia and signed her to Arista Records, which later disbanded. Okay, so there's situations like that where an artist may sign with a label, and it just so happens that label is not seeing it for them, as opposed to another label or someone that may be running that label or partnered with it that would be like, oh no, come over here. And if they have the money to be like, listen, we gonna somehow get you released, they may just do that. And this is why in recent previous episodes I've been saying you don't have to worry about all that independent, because when you go wherever you want to go and you book what you want to book, you ain't got to worry about nobody telling you, okay, this isn't right. Because when you go on that stage and you see over 100 people clapping and saying yes, that's all you. Ain't got to worry about up here or anyone talking about what's next. That's all you. That's all your promo. So I'm always going to advocate doing things yourself. Always, especially in this time. Always. You can have a label help you, that's good, but over time you're gonna want to just do it yourself. Following Davis to his newly formed J Records label, Keys rented an apartment and struggled to create an album. She began writing the song Troubles and came to a realization. That's when the album started coming together. Finally, I knew how to structure my feelings into something that made sense, something that can translate to people. That was a changing point. My confidence was way up. Keys learned how to produce by asking questions of the producers and engineers. She wrote, arranged, and produced a majority of the album. She recorded the songs Rock With You and Rearview Mirror, which were featured on the soundtracks of the films Shaft, which was in 2000, and Dr. Dolittle 2, 2001, respectively. One of the final songs Keys recorded was Fallen. A total of 32 songs were recorded for the album, originally titled Soul Stories in A minor. The title of the album was changed over concerns that it would limit exposure only to Black radio stations. So, Soul Stories in A minor, they felt like that could be a good title. At the same time, with her wanting to cross over, and of course the label wanted her to cross over, they said no, songs in A minor. That makes sense. It's more mysterious. It's more in the sense of just being just a concept rather than just a concept within a concept. You know what I mean? Like, no. But yeah. In advance of songs in A minor, Girlfriend was serviced to urban contemporary radio as a promotional single in early 2001 to introduce Keys to the general public. In order to promote her, music executive Clive Davis booked Keys to The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Davis also wrote a letter to Oprah Winfrey asking her to allow Keys, along with Jill Scott and India Arie, to perform on her show. The singers performed on the Oprah Winfrey Show, where Keys wowed the audience. This led to the album's pre-orders to double that night. From August to October 2001, Keys toured alongside recording artist Maxwell in promotion of the album. Soon after, she embarked on her Songs in A minor tour. A concert at Key Arena in Seattle was partly recorded, and the live performances were included on the bonus disc of a European reissue of the album, titled Songs in A Minor, Remixed and Unplugged, which was released on October 28, 2002. The bonus disc also includes remixes to the songs from songs in A minor. The bonus disc was made available on its own exclusively in Japan, under the title Remixed and Unplugged in A minor on February 26, 2003. So, on June 28, 2011, Songs in A minor was re-released in 2 editions to commemorate its 10th anniversary of release. Both editions feature previously unreleased material and a documentary chronicling. Wait, how do you say that? Okay, a documentary chronicling. It's a documentary pretty much showing the making of the album. Okay, listen, they be using random words sometimes, and of course it's good English, it's good literature, but sometimes you just get to the point. Okay, I try within 10-20 minutes or so, guys. I don't play that. I want to make sure y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, yes. So where was I? At the BET Awards 2011 and on June 26, Keys performed a medley of songs including Typewriter, A Woman's Worth with Bruno Mars, and Maybach Music with Rick Ross, and Fallen. On June 28th, Keys performed Fallen, Butterflies, and Empire State of Mind Part 2 Broken Down on Good Morning America. BET aired The Story So Far, Alicia Keys special, highlighting Keys' 10-year career through her BET moments on June 28th. On June 30th, Keys performed Songs in A minor in its entirety and told stories of its recording in a show titled Piano and I, a one-night only event with Alicia Keys, at the Beacon Theater in New York City. In an interview from MTV, Keys called its 10th anniversary incredibly surreal for me, and said of the album in retrospective, "This album is possibly the most precious to me, as your first album only happens once, and so Songs in A minor will always hold a special place in my life that's filled with amazing memories. I'm so proud the songs are still being enjoyed, and I'm crazy excited to share songs never heard before." To celebrate the 20th anniversary of the release of Songs in A minor, so this is 2021, guys, the album was yet again re-released on June 4th, 2021, with 4 bonus tracks, including the previous unreleased Foolish Heart and Crazy Me Carazone. Okay. So, as far as the singles go, Fallen was released April 10th, 2001. A Woman's Worth was released October 2nd, 2001. So she really had Fallen just be everywhere throughout the spring, the summer, and by the fall, it was like, all right, here's A Woman's Worth. How Come You Don't Love Me, March 11th, 2002. And Girlfriend, November 25th, 2002. So, she really, was making sure this album was heard for over a year before she, went on to the next album. So, but yeah, Songs in A minor received positive reviews from music critics. Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, it received an average score of 78 based on 10 reviews. Okay. Yes, guys. So, yeah, she definitely won 5 awards at the Grammys: Song of the Year, Best Female R&B Vocal Performance, and Best R&B Song for Fallen, Best New Artist, and Best R&B Album. Fallen was also nominated for Record of the Year. Keys became the second female solo artist to win 5 Grammy Awards in a single night, following Lauryn Hill, who had did this in 1999. The album also won an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Album. Keys was also named Best New Artist at the 2002 World Music Awards. Fallen was ranked at number 37 on VH1's VH1's 100 Greatest Songs of the Past 25 Years in 2003, and was ranked the 413th greatest song of all time by Blender magazine. The album was ranked at number 2 on the Rolling Stone magazine top 10 of 2001, number 18 on the Village Voices 2001 Paz and Jop list, and number 27 on Mojo Magazine's Best 40 Albums of 2001, and was also named one of Q's magazine's 100 Greatest Albums Ever. Q also listed the album as one of the best 50 albums of 2001. In 2009, Rolling Stone named it the 95th best album of the past decade, while Fallen ranked at number 62 on the magazine's 100 best songs of the decade. 2012 Entertainment Weekly ranked Songs in A Minor the 57th best album of all time. Alright, so as far as commercial performance, yes, she went number 1, 236,000 copies in its first week. Through word of mouth and promotion, the album remained at number 1 on the chart, selling a further 221,000 copies in its fourth week. So when they say word of mouth is the passing of information from person to person using oral communication, which could be as simple as telling someone the time of day. Storytelling is a common form of word of mouth communication. I mean, it's not necessarily what I'm doing right now, but I mean, I'm actually reading, history and things that are actually documented. But that back in the day was a real thing. Like, you had to have people talking about you. And I've said this before when it came to Megan's album. Your name is what gets you going. Your music can be great, but it's your name. When they know your name and they love your name, you going somewhere. So, people saying, oh my God, Alicia Keys' album's out and Fallen's on there, and I just heard it on the radio, but I ain't gotta hear it on the radio like that because I got the album and I might buy it again. That's what it was back in the day. And it wasn't just for her. You'd be surprised how much word of mouth was going on back in the 90s. Never mind the 80s. Okay? So, that's a big deal. But yeah, guys. The album spent a total of 3 non-consecutive weeks at number 1 and became one of the best-selling albums of 2001. As of June 2014, the album has sold 6.3 million copies in the US. Billboard ranked the album at number 32 on the Billboard Decade and chart for the 2000s, and at number 12 on the top R&B hip-hop albums decade and chart. In 2001, the album was the 7th best-selling album globally, selling 6.7 million copies. By March 2008, Songs in A Minor has sold over 12 million copies worldwide. On August 19th, 2020, the album was certified septuple platinum by the Recording Academy for combined sales and album equivalent units of 7 million units in the US. Let's get into the track list. So, track 1 is Piano and I. Track 2 is Girlfriend. Track 3 is How Come You Don't Love Me. And honestly, Prince is a writer on that. Okay? I didn't know. Track 4 is Fallen. Track 5 is Troubles. Track 6 is Rock With You. Track 7 is A Woman's Worth. Track 8 is Jane Doe. Track 9 is Goodbye. Track 10 is The Life. Track 11 is Mr. Man, duet with Jimmy Causier. Track 12 is Never Felt This Way, interlude. I didn't even know Brian McKnight was a part of this as well. Brian McKnight actually produced Goodbye as opposed to the interlude with Never Felt This Way, okay? Butterflies is track 13. Now, I'm not gonna keep going yet because I know y'all want me to talk about Butterflies. So Butterflies is so soothing. You get me butterflies. I can control the butterflies. I think about that song sometimes, and I think no one was ready. No one was ready, and I want to tell people this. There were artists that were out that when she came out, they were like, okay, we have a strong peer here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't so much that, you know, the best way to explain this is when you have artists that come out and vocally or visually they're appealing, it's not so much there's a sense that it has to be completely competition, because I know that's where people are getting at. It's more or less just a sense of, how do I coexist? And that's what most artists think about, whether it's rap, R&B, anything. It's like, how do I coexist with this? Because everyone's gravitating to this and I am this, you know what I'm saying? So that's where it lies with, and I want to keep it all the way real with y'all, because no one speaks on that. Everyone always wants to speak on, all right, well, no, they could have did this and then no. It really be about, how do you coexist in this type of environment or in this type of time in this moment, you know? How do you coexist with artistry that is out this way? And if you ain't worried about it, then shoot, it gonna pop, because you focused. You doing what you gotta do. You don't gotta care about what other people are doing and how they do it, because it's just, you know, these are your peers. They're not, you know, they're not in the studio with you. They're not watching your every move. And no one should feel that hostile, okay? You gotta just do you, okay? So yeah, why do I feel so sad? Now that song, why do I feel so sad? When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, like I that's underrated. That's an underrated song. 15, Caged Bird, and then 16, Loving You, which is a hidden track. And then there's the Japanese edition bonus track, which is Rearview Mirror. And then they have the Japanese reissue edition bonus tracks, which is Fallen, extended remix featuring Busta Rhymes and Rampage. 19 is A Woman's Worth remix, a radio edit. The UK special edition bonus tracks had remixes for both Fallen and A Woman's Worth, with Loving You being the hidden track. And the DVD audio edition bonus videos, they had Fallen, A Woman's Worth, and Girlfriend. So those music videos, because I know that's what y'all are also wondering, like, you know, as far as the music videos, how did they do? They did well. You know, they were played, and I think that's another thing that was very much important and became more important over time, was the fact that people are visually wanting to be seen more, you know, or they need to be. The 20th anniversary digital edition bonus tracks are Fallen, I Won't, Crazy World, Foolish Heart, Crazy Me, Corazon. So that's 17, 18, 19, and 20 respectfully. Now the Brazilian and Japanese edition remixed and unplugged in A minor. So there's quite a few remixes along with live versions of these particular songs, mixtape versions, listen, there's all different songs that were released within the anniversaries. Okay, she even put out Gangsta Lovin'. I just wanna rock you. Okay. That was on the remix and unplugged for the Japanese edition. They said, listen, we're gonna just put this on here. Which I would have felt that could have been on the main version, even though it's Eve's song. But yeah. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much, you know, songs in A minor. Definitely listen to it. It is a good album, and it definitely, like most debuts, was able to make way for what was coming next for her, because Diary of Alicia Keys was where she took it a step further, and that's where people really was taking her seriously and was like, okay, no, she's really Alicia Keys. But yes, I thank you guys so much for watching and viewing and listening, and I'll be back with more.